there will be no real non-controlled currency in the world.
We're coming for you, banks.
Bitcoin is punk rock. Deal with it.
You split, we bankrupt you.
Do you use Lightning wallets to pay for things or not?
No.
Bitcoin Cash would be seen as more of a threat to the United States hegemony than Bitcoin.
Miles, what's your favorite kind of money?
Bitcoin Cash.
Hello and welcome back to the Bitcoin Cash podcast, following Bitcoin Cash on its rise to global reserve currency. This is episode number 56, US government crackdown and BCH Latam, featuring Jose Ignacio Araujo and Talia Guerrero. Today is Saturday, the 13th of August, 2022. I'm your host, Jeremy. Jet is producing the show as always. And we have today two guests from Venezuela. So it truly is the global currency, every part of the world. Probably we've had nearly every continent represented on this show, I think, by this point. Maybe we need to do an Africa-focused episode. But anyway, South America getting represented once again here. So we might even sneak in a bit of Spanish as well. The listeners can hear some of my terrible Spanish. But welcome to the show, Jose. Maybe we'll start with you. How did you get into Bitcoin?
Hello, Jeremy. Thank you for allowing us to be here with you. It's a real honor to be able to here with this wonderful group today and learn from all of you. Talia?
My name is Talia Guerrero. I am a lead operational within Bitcoin Cash Latam team. Thank you, Jeremy, for inviting us to be part of the 56th podcast.
56th, yeah.
And allowing us to talk about our management and BCH Latam.
Yeah, sure. No. So tell me about BCH Latam. How long has that been running for? It's been 2 or 3 years, I think, maybe since 2019 or 2020?
2020. Yes, 2 years.
And before that, you were working in the Dash community, right? So very cash focused.
Yes, in Dash community in 2019, yes. But in 2020, we work in Bitcoin Cash with George Donnelly in Venezuela and Colombia. Mm-hmm.
And so Venezuela is obviously a good place for cryptocurrency adoption because of the problems with the currency, right? The local currency, hyperinflation and everything.
Yeah.
For the listeners, can you give a bit of an example of what it is like with the local currency? How much inflation is there, and how do people adapt to that scenario?
Thanks to all the problems with our financial platforms, people are always looking for new options. So yes.
So in what is the average inflation rate in Venezuela? Do you know?
The economy is somewhat complicated, but Venezuela is a suitable country to promote plans such as this. Bitcoin Cash is a real, ¿cómo se dice? Camino?
It's a path. It's a road. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a road forward. Yeah. And I think people certainly need hope in these bad situations, right? They will look for an alternative once their existing system is failing and having so many problems. That's when they'll really wake up to alternatives, right? Because people like myself in the UK, if I'm telling someone about Bitcoin Cash or about cryptocurrency, they might think, oh, okay, it's interesting, right? Or it's new, but they don't see the urgency and the need to really get involved fast, because unlike in, the local economy is fairly stable, but with Venezuela, it's more like, wow, we really need a solution, right?
You were asking, I'm sorry, you were asking about inflation in Venezuela. And
Yeah.
in that moment, this moment is 686% inflation according to that analysis. So it's pretty much.
That's crazy. 686%. That's
Yes, much.
Yes.
so.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yes, the inflation has perhaps made life more expensive, but it's undoubtedly a country of opportunities for new alternatives, and we are always looking for new alternatives to continue.
So
It's important.
Yes. So the majority of people, when they get paid their salary, right? Let's say they get paid $100. I'm going to say US dollars, right? But then the inflation rate is so high that in 2 months or in 3 months, the value will have been lowered, right? It will be worth very little. So what do people use instead? Obviously, Bitcoin Cash, but do they have gold or do they buy houses or where do they save their money?
And
Well,
that's how it's $28 approximately in public entities, and Venezuelans always have more than 3 jobs approximately. It's too crazy.
That is crazy. In the UK, you know, most people have one job and then sometimes they have 2 jobs, a small second one to add on, right? Usually. But obviously, if you're in 600% inflation, you probably need as many jobs as you can get, right?
yes. The minimum salary in Venezuela is now to buy 12 eggs, some tomatoes, and a few fruits. It's a craziness.
And that's it. That's all you can get just for those that money. And
A little bit more, but in totally that.
That's each month, right? The minimum each month, right?
Yes.
That's what we look for, ways to do a lot of things in order to make ends meet, and that we consumers and merchants are so receptive to other alternatives like Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So let's take a look at the price then for this week. So the price is US dollars $145.42. 1 BTC buys 168.6 BCH, so that's about stable. And 1 Ethereum buys 13.7 BCH, so BCH is down against Ethereum. So do you guys get very involved in the price of cryptocurrency? Like if the price goes down a bit, is that less of a problem because the Bolivar is going down even more, right? So is cryptocurrency too volatile for Venezuela, or is it less of a problem?
Sorry. Here we live with more than 4 currencies in circulations: bolivars, dollars, euros, pesos, colombianos, at the same time. As the movement of cryptocurrencies is not an impediment to use of other cryptocurrencies about Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and others. Talia?
Well, it's like the decline in the price of BCH does not compare with the aggressive inflation in our country. Is that simple that is la comparación no tiene sentido.
In comparison. Yeah, it doesn't feel at all the same. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And I think that's when you say that you're using dollars, bolivars, pesos colombiano, euros even. That surprises me. I didn't realize that you could trade euros in Venezuela, but I guess you can. And so I guess people are already very used to the idea of having multiple currencies, right? To them, it's just every day, okay, dollars, Bitcoin Cash, pesos, whatever. They just are accustomed to that, right? That's very interesting, actually. Cool. Okay, so let's have a look at the blockchain stats. We've got 30,000 transactions per day in Bitcoin Cash, so that hasn't changed very much from how it was before. And then we also have the cent in USD is actually on the rise. So I've been looking for it to drop off to say we're at the bottom of the market and things are going to turn around. But instead, it's already going up. So I'm quite surprised, actually, at this. For the two of you, do you look at these blockchain analytics, these metrics and statistics, or do you just focus on talking to merchants and customers and that? Are you interested in the financial elements and all the online information about cryptocurrencies?
Okay, no, the price of Bitcoin Cash has caused us to have to reduce many things in our operation, but internally explain to people at our meetings and that it had definitely the right time to able to accept Bitcoin Cash, grow the community. People are very receptive to Bitcoin Cash. Yes, Talia.
Well, our work is focused on consumer and merchant adoption, always teaching them to use Bitcoin Cash as a way of life, a lifestyle. Is pretty that.
Yeah, it makes sense that you would be focused on the real world adoption. This kind of thing, these statistics are very interesting, I think, to people who are in a stable economy, right? So they're a little bit bored. They need something exciting. So they look at this and they get interested in all the statistics and this, whatever, right? But in Venezuela, people are more focused on right now. What am I doing? What is the problem today? How do I solve, my financial issues in practice? And I think that's a big difference between parts of the world where the economy is stable now. In the future, maybe they won't be, but now they are. And places where the economy is already in trouble, the mentality of people changes. And I think many people do not understand the difference when you're in that kind of situation, right?
For example, while in another parts of the world they are concerned about the price of BCH, here we use Bitcoin Cash for transactions, remittance payments. So is the difference is maybe because we have so many problems with the economy. So BCH is an excellent method as a lifestyle, yes.
For us, it's a priority that consumers learn the essentials to enter the world of cryptocurrencies throughout Bitcoin Cash. We do this throughout our talks and massive events because of the same economy situation. People are looking for new alternatives to make transactions and to free themselves from inflation. That is one of reasons why we have so many new merchants and consumers too.
Absolutely. So let's get on with the news, I guess, here that we've got. So 3 or 4 little news items to catch up on. So the first one is Podcash. Oh, I spelled it wrong. I should have Podcash v0.1.0 has been released. This is a new app for Bitcoin Cash from F Shine Top is the developer, and I have been testing it with him and I've been very impressed. So it's a podcast player like Apple Podcasts or like any other listener, app. And it has the whole range of podcasts, not just Bitcoin Cash ones. It has any podcast you're interested in. You can search it up and listen. But what it does is it's also a wallet. So you can put some Bitcoin Cash into this app, let's say $5, and then you can set an amount. So you might set 10 cents for every 10 minutes that you listen to. And as you listen to a podcast, it just automatically sends some Bitcoin Cash. So the longer you listen, the more you pay, kind of an idea. It's called...
Isn't it? It's like a faucet.
Yes. Yeah, it's like a faucet, but it's streaming live to people who are producing podcasts. So we'll see, how this goes. But obviously, for all my listeners, you can test it out. You can send me some money. Hint, hint. You can download it on Android, and it's not on iPhone yet. I'm sure they're probably working on that, but it's starting on Android. And you can have a look. You can listen to any podcast, but if it's a podcast that has no BCH address in the description, it was just normal. You're just listening to a podcast. But if it is one that has a Bitcoin Cash address in the description, then you'll see these features that you can send through some Satoshis. So yeah, I recommend everybody to download it and try it out. I've been really impressed by it. And hopefully, if you run a podcast as well, if anybody runs a podcast, they should also, like I think the BCH Latam team sometimes does that kind of thing, then you can also upload it on there. Make sure you have your Bitcoin Cash address, and people listening will be able to stream for it. And this kind of business model is very popular at the moment with Bitcoin BTC. They have a lot of these. They call it value for value, is what they're always talking about. And it's now come to Bitcoin Cash. So a big shout out to the dev of that, F Shine Top, and yeah, hopefully people can download this and try it out. So yeah, what do you think of this this app? Will you use this app to?
It's an excellent idea for the people who are just starting to use Bitcoin Cash, and maybe want to earn a little while they learn a little Bitcoin. So it's a wonderful idea.
Yeah, I have been saying for the last few episodes of this show that I want to see more apps, that I think Bitcoin Cash needs more apps to get people interested. So I think this is an excellent example that now the community is starting to make this new technology, new apps and new products to get people involved. So I'm really, really excited to see that. And I'm sure we'll be seeing more of that in the next few months and years, definitely, because everybody in Bitcoin Cash has stopped fighting so much. Before there was a lot of fighting about this, about that, about whatever, but mostly people have stopped. So now they can focus on building new products, I think.
We will recommend it.
Yes, you can try it out.
Any alternative that presents the community to increase the transactions and knowledge for people is fantastic. This motivates more users to want to join and learn more.
Exactly. It adds a lot of engagement, I think, and hopefully the developer, if he can convince a couple of big podcasts as well to get involved, all they need to do is put in a Bitcoin Cash address, then it could expand the listener base quite a lot, and it could get a lot more people involved and interested. So yeah, everybody try it out. Just go to Podcash App, Podcash app. It's the best name, podcashapp.com, and it has a link there you can download for Android and try it out. But obviously it's a new product, so don't put all your money in there. Just put a couple of dollars, okay? Microtransactions, and start small, because any new technology is obviously there's going to be bugs and problems. So start small with that. Okay, next thing we have is MichaelSaylor has stepped down as the MicroStrategy CEO. So obviously MichaelSaylor is very famous because he has his company that makes software, and yet he has invested all the money of his company into Bitcoin. So it doesn't really matter what his company does. If they do good, if they do bad, it doesn't matter. If the price of Bitcoin goes up, they're doing good. If the price of Bitcoin goes down, they're doing badly. And right now the price is down, so they have lost more than $1 billion with their betting, gambling on Bitcoin. So it seems like there has been some pushback to this from within the company, because he has been demoted. Well, he has stepped down, but I don't know. Perhaps it's a allegory. It's a phrase for he's been demoted, and he's going to stay on as an executive chairman, and says the move will allow him to double down on the company's Bitcoin acquisition strategy, which is a bit ridiculous because there's not much strategy to buying Bitcoin. You just buy it and you pray that it goes up. There's not Bitcoin apps, or there's not Bitcoin anything, products or Bitcoin advertising. I guess there's some sort of advertising that MicroStrategy is doing. They are literally just hoping for the price to go up. But if it's not working out, now they are obviously starting to back away from it. We have seen Tesla has also done the same thing and kind of backed away from it. So my question to our guests here is, I've got two questions. The first question is, do you think this is a smart move by MichaelSaylor? Is he trying to escape before the price crashes even further? And then the second question would be, does this impact in Venezuela? Do people know about MichaelSaylor? Do they pay attention to this kind of news, or are they just too busy with their own, what's going on in their local area? So I guess the first one is MichaelSaylor a genius, or is he an idiot?
Our product is so far is education with this new era, as we call it. What we want is to present a technological innovation with a platform that allow more users to learn. Talia, más o menos, sorry for my Spanish with Talia. Lo que queremos, nosotros tenemos algún producto que presentar para incrementar las transacciones más o menos en Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash.
Sí, y sobre, según MichaelSaylor, ¿sabes MichaelSaylor, no?
Yes.
¿Y qué piensas, MichaelSaylor? ¿Están muy estúpido o ingenioso?
Ingenioso, realmente, más que... más...
Or a little bit. No. It's a joke.
Okay,
well, it's a risk. Like,
yes.
is maybe could be good or maybe could be fatally. So depends with the eyes you see, you look. So I think that is a risk that no everyone runs that risk, but it's a risk. And the risk no are good or bad, just is a risk.
Right. Yeah, you can't say only in hindsight, only in the future will we know, was he a genius or was he an idiot?
Yes. Yes.
But right now he seems like an idiot because the price is going down.
Yeah.
But
in this moment, it's a little bit idiot, but it's okay.
Okay, and
so focus on Bitcoin alone.
Yes, exactly. No need to get distracted with this kind of antics, this kind of joking around by MichaelSaylor. We can't do anything about it, right? So it's just very funny, I think, or very gratifying for a lot of people that MichaelSaylor had his plan and he was so excitable about it and everything when the price was going up, and now the price is going down. Well, the consequences are coming to him. So it's just funny to see. That was part of the big news this week. Okay, secondly, we've got Blackrock showing interest in BTC. So Blackrock is the world's biggest asset manager, I don't know very much about them, but I assume they own lots of stocks and property and all these things. I'd guess probably people's retirement savings, all kind of asset management with the big banks. All this stuff is going on, and they have more than $10 trillion of assets under management, the largest in the world. So they have launched a Bitcoin trust for institutions. So I'm really not sure what to make of this, because on one hand, it really is the case that big money, very, very big money, is now interested in cryptocurrency. Okay, 5 years ago, it was everybody was hoping and praying, okay, the banks, and they're going to put all this money in and we're all going to get rich, right? And I think people had a lot of ideas about what that would be like. But now it's happening for real. And I don't think it's happening the way people expected. It's more just that there's now more acceptance of cryptocurrency in people's minds, because if big banks are buying up crypto, then people think it must be safe, it must be okay. But on the other hand, if the banks are controlling the networks, or they have a lot of coins so they can, manipulate the price or whatever, then that kind of might be a bad thing too as well. So my question, is, do you think it's a good thing that these big players are getting involved with cryptocurrency? Is the banks, are they a positive or a negative overall?
I don't think it's bad for BCH, but it certainly looks like it's taking over. It may also generate a little more confidence. Undoubtedly, BCH should be positioned in more countries around the world, and people should take it seriously, as it undoubtedly a robust currency with credibility and a good index, which has been maintained.
Yeah, exactly. I think overall, I would say probably a good thing, because I think one of the most important things for cryptocurrency is that it's not scary to people, right? People are very afraid or scared sometimes when you tell them about cryptocurrency. They think it's this big problem or something they need to avoid. But the more of these banks and so on that are involved, the more they will be comfortable that it's not something they need to run away from or be scared of, basically.
I think that smart people see this moment simply as an opportunity. I think it is the smartest way to look. In this moment, we are not in crisis; is an opportunity. I think Venezuelans think so. So
yeah, absolutely. The confidence being boosted as they can see other people are getting involved. We should get involved, right? People are very like herd animals. They all look at each other. If so everybo's going this way, well, then now they're all going this way, right? So I think that's definitely the way that the banks influence the cryptocurrency markets. Do I remember the percent of post-fork coins that have already moved? I don't know what's this tangent jet, but I think there was about 25% that had never moved, and like 5% that had only moved on the BCH side. So it was about 60% had moved.
Yeah, so I was just thinking like Bitcoin Jason, mentioned BCH being tied to BTC 83%. I imagine that's like price correlation and movements. So what I was thinking of was that 83% number sounds absurd when the coins themselves are pretty distinguished now. Like they are separate networks that shouldn't really have this large correlation in my mind. So I was just kind of picking at that in the chat with him.
Well, I think it's because the whole cryptocurrency markets are just sort of correlated by sentiment rather than by specific coins. When BTC goes up, like most other coins, ETH is the same. It's like 85 or 90% correlated. And so is Monero. So is every coin, basically. So it's, when the confidence is good and the price is going up, all the coins go up. And then when price is bad or sentiment's bad, all the coins go down, right? So it doesn't necessarily reflect any individual coin if they're doing well or they're doing poorly, I think. Okay, next one we have. So this week, Americans were banned from Tornado.cash. So Tornado.cash is a mixing service on Ethereum. So the idea is if you want to have more privacy or more anonymity with your Ethereum, what you could do was send it into a pool, kind of like putting it into a big hat, and you would put your coins. So let's say I've got 2 Ethereum. I might put 2 Ethereum into the pool on the 13th of August today. And then in 1 week from now, I might get 2 Ethereum back out. But the key is that when I put in my 2 Ethereum, I get a special code which I can redeem later for 2 Ethereum. And it's not going to be the same Ethereum, and nobody knows the code except for me. So I can put the money in now, wait for any random amount of time so that nobody knows who is getting like which money sent in and which money sent out, and then pull it out randomly, and there's no link on the blockchain between the coins that I sent in and the coins that I sent out, because they went through this mixing service. So what happened was, these kind of things have been around for a while, but the story this week from CoinDesk was the US Treasury has banned all Americans from using decentralized crypto mixing service Tornado.cash or any of the Ethereum wallet addresses tied to the protocol. Those who do may face criminal penalties. And the quote here is, I think what we're seeing here from Treasury is, if you're going to allow a lot of illicit activity, we're going to go after you, even if there's a lot of legitimate activity. And that is from Ari Redford, the host of Legal and Government Affairs. Okay, I don't know who he is, but anyway, the point is that people are obviously looking for ways to use their cryptocurrency with some financial privacy, which might be for illegal use, or it might just be regular people that don't want the entire world to be watching what transactions they're making. And so previously it has been hard to separate those two, or there's a strong push by the cryptocurrency community to build these privacy adding tools. But at the same time, the government doesn't like it. And it seems they're finally starting to really sort of take action to interfere with that. And so what happened was, because they said any wallet addresses that are linked to this will also be potentially sanctioned, somebody decided, look, I'll prove how ridiculous that is. By their coins that they had got out of the mixer, they started sending them to famous celebrities like Jimmy Fallon and various other people who had known Ethereum addresses, like Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, the CEO of Coinbase. They started sending money to them too, to show that, well, if you're going to enforce these rules on people using the mixer, well, we can just make anybody a part of the mixer. So it kind of demonstrates how ridiculous the whole enforcement policy was. But what do the guests think about this scenario? Do you think it is feasible for the government to control what is happening with these private coins or anonymous coins?
No, but they are looking to fight against cryptocurrencies. You can say that we are not in the best moment with respect to some regulations. But personally, I feel that maybe they are building some privacy situations, and the main reason for cryptocurrencies is privacy and transparency. Talia?
A moment.
Nope.
I think that's right. I think there is a kind of a push and pull going on, where the government wants less privacy and the people want more privacy. So it's kind of this battle between the government and the cryptocurrency community, especially the cryptocurrency developers, who need to think up these mathematical methods and ways of having privacy, because otherwise we'll all be pretty quickly in a panopticon where the government can just observe everything you do You can't see what the government does. The irony of all of these crypto tools is that the government could be using the transparency of blockchain to show their own spendings, what they are working on, what they're moving their money around, but they're not going to do that. It's going to be a black box for the government, and it's going to be surveillance for the people. So clear double standard there.
Well, we have an out experience with governments that want to control us. That is why Venezuela is a pioneer country in the use of cryptocurrencies, because we can skip in unnecessary and illogical controls. So
exactly, it's very important to have these things, because once the government goes rogue, once they are doing their own things, people need to be able to protect themselves, right? Because the government is the one with the guns, and they're the one with the rules, and people need some way to look after their own money, their own savings. And it's inflation destroying your money, but then now also this tracking of your money and your assets as well too. So it's a problem on multiple fronts, really, I think.
Governments are nervous that people can make their own decisions, and more if there are money. So
exactly. The government is afraid. The government should be afraid of the people, right? It should be constrained by what the citizens want. That's the whole point, supposedly, that people have voted and they're in power, but it's temporary, or it's by permission. Of course, reality is not that simple. It's more often that the government is trying to take control of everybody. But this is a new advance, I guess, by the government in fighting directly against cryptocurrency. So we might see more of that in the next couple of years. It's going to get a more intense battle between the people and the government over cryptocurrency. Yes. So we'll keep an eye on this. Maybe it will get worse. Maybe it will get better, but I doubt it. I think one of the important things for cryptocurrency is that the government, people themselves, they also want to buy cryptocurrency, right? They also buy some Bitcoin Cash, buy some Bitcoin, buy some Ethereum, and then they don't want it to be all rules and regulations that for themselves. That's what's reliable. I don't think they're looking out for the citizens, but I think they will look out for themselves. So if they get some cryptocurrency, I think that can help us out, I would say.
I think we are on the right side of the history. So
yes, absolutely, 100% agree.
I remember hearing 4 years ago about border guards, I think, in Venezuela that were seizing cryptocurrency miners. Is that still a thing, or was that maybe blown out of proportion? Or do you know anything about that? Just the government agents essentially confiscating the things that we need to mine coins?
Well, people have been imprisoned for mining, so
okay,
it's real.
And is it then? But is it to do with corruption, right? That the government sees, oh look, we can take this, and then do they destroy the miners, or do they use them themselves to make their own coins once they've got them?
Or do they say that they destroy them and then use them themselves?
Yeah, no rush. It's okay. But
in Venezuela, we have an entity that regulates mining activities. Its name is Sunacrip, and it also seeks to preserve the environment, which electricity consumption.
Yeah, the electrical consumption. Yeah.
Problems comes with the consumption of light. That's why they put people in prison. That's all for the light.
Yeah, exactly.
Light.
Yeah, I think the That's right. The government story, their sort of narrative is that they see the electrical grid being used, so then they can find them. Okay, they're over here or they're over here, and then they can go in and get them and say you're using up too much electricity or you're straining the grid or whatever. But as far as I know, a lot of the time they take the miners and then they use them themselves to make their own bitcoins because.
Yes, but they take your machines and turn them in their homes. So,
Exactly.
like, it's a problem, like.
Yes, that's right. It's just a cover story. They say, "Oh, it's such a problem," but then once they have it, they're using it themselves.
Yes,
So,
is their narrative that you
yes,
say?
exactly. It's all about hypocrisy when it comes to government. That's for sure.
Yes.
They're gonna say one thing and do the other thing. So you always have to be aware of that. And it's funny how universal that is as well too. Different countries around the world have different opinions, right? There's some are more trusting of government and some are less trusting of government. I would say Venezuela probably less trusting, right? But in every country in the world, you can find people who don't trust the government. There's no country in the world where everybody agrees that the government is the best. That's for sure. Okay, cool. So let's have a chat then about BCH Latam. So that's your organization that you have. Got a really nice photo. You're smiling here. And like you said, since 2020, you've been working on Bitcoin Cash adoption in Venezuela. You did one flipstarter and you produced a ton of results and everything. You can tell me about that in a minute. But obviously as well, part of coming on the show is you're running a second flipstarter for 728 BCH, so about 102,000 US dollars, which is supposed to help build out the 2,000 new users being personally trained. So you do these sessions where you talk to them one-on-one or in a group, and you show them the bitcoin.com wallet and how it works and how to send it and explain what's going on, as well as 800 new users digitally, 75 social media videos, 50 talks, and there was even a few more things. So as far as I know, you've got 4 in the core team, plus, the 2 of you and 2 more, plus also some contractors that help out with all this. And I think you had a quote from your flipstarter, which I want to read here. I really liked it. It said, "The fluctuation of currencies is an aspect that all those involved in the crypto economy know. There are times of prosperity and others of austerity. But for a project to be truly robust, it must demonstrate that despite adversities, it continues to work on development and adoption." And I thought that was a very important message, because you're saying, look, our team is going to be here supporting the network and building adoption to create consumer trust, whether the price is going up or down. You'll be resilient to that and carry on with the mission. So can you tell me a little bit about this flipstarter, what you've done in the past and what you're trying to do now?
For example, my contribution during the last 6 months within the team has been to ensure that each of the Bitcoin cash agents has the information and material necessary to execute the commercial and consumer adoption activities, following up and guiding them in their daily activities and onboarding areas. In addition to the creation of the audiovisual material for networks, that it's about our positioning and evolution in marketing aspects. The creation of educational tutorials has been a great tool for remote trainings to Bitcoin Cash agents in another cities, in another country. Our events have successfully enrolled hundreds of people and attract new traders who want to learn about Bitcoin Cash. My message is support our flipstarter to the community, because our Bitcoin Cash Latam team is still eager to continue growing, creating events, affiliating merchants, generating content and bringing more consumers to the use of Bitcoin Cash has a lifestyle. Our commitment is so strengthen the Bitcoin Cash community in Venezuela and continue to cross borders. So, Ignacio?
Yes, we recently finished our first independent flipstarter, which was funded to work from the month of February until the end of July, where we were able to learn a lot of things. Also, we already had more than 1 year working from BCH. The rules and decision making for operation is sometimes completely different. We have been asked this question many times, and that is if George is still part of BCH Latam. The exact answer is that George was the one who designed the whole idea a couple of years ago, and for the transactions process of this management of the operations, he was within me as consultant to prepare me professionally to continue leading the team. Yes, currently, Jos is not working with BCH Latam now. He is pursuing other personal goals, and I respect that. I am always grateful for his teaching and his trust. As many people and most daily ask me about this, about it. What is relevant in all of this is that during the first 6 months of the year, we were able to follow the reins of BCH Latam as an organization that provides education without speculation, that seeks to massify the use of Bitcoin Cash throughout events, marketing materials, remittance, and adoption, yes? And that without adopt of work has been evidenced with media and demonstrate our work. The truth is that if I feel satisfied with what has been done with 35 people, BCH agents in the team spirit throughout Venezuela, I feel that we have a speech communication results, and above is quality. Yes, Jeremy?
Well, yeah. So I was just gonna clarify a couple of those things. So you said George Donnelly is not involved anymore. So he has been on the show actually in the past. So if people want to see, what his opinions are and what his thoughts are, they can go and look at that. I think it might have been episode number 26 or something. It was called BCH in South America. He was on an episode about that, but I think that's important. And you said you get a lot of questions about that, because I think a lot of people have thoughts about contributing to the Flipstarter based on either they like George, so if he's involved they want to do it more, or if they don't like George then he's involved they want to do it less, right? So I think that's probably why a lot of people are interested in that aspect of it. So it's good to sort of clarify that, he did help out with the setup and the organization and everything, but he's not involved at now. And certainly in this last Flipstarter that you did, it seems he wasn't involved in that either, and you did run it all yourselves, right? So the team can operate, completely independently of him needing to be there. I think people are always like leaders, right? They always want to see who is the leader, who is in charge, who is responsible. So I think that's quite amazing that the team has made that transition. It's very, very positive to see.
Yes. Let's talk about our new campaign. Yes. Our new campaign is a new era for us. It's called BCH Agents Crossing Borders. Why crossing borders? Because we want to reach beyond Venezuela with technological innovation throughout a digital platform that allows users to learn about Bitcoin Cash with talks, workshops, webinars, and online activities in order to promote the use of Bitcoin Cash beyond our borders. Previously, we had requested to 28 BCH, yes, in the last flipstarter, which at time was approximately in $80,000, yes, approximately. Due to the great drop in the market, we will call not many of the things we had in mind because of the budget, and we focused on more training, adoptions, and events. Currently, we are asking for 728, which approximately in 1,000. Yes, it's too much dollars. Yes, the budget increased because among our deliverables in the digital platform, directory of merchant with a tourist section is a new and fair of entrepreneurs and merchants with BCH. Imagine the drop in the market with respect to the drop in the BCH that increased the application value so much. We know it's not the best moment for the community, for the market. We do is a quality and efficient.
Yeah, I think that's really important as well to highlight, because one thing that definitely, impresses me about your campaigns and everything is that a lot of time people do flip starters and then the results are a bit all over the place, or it's hard to follow. What did they actually do? Is there evidence, of screenshots and videos and things that they've produced? And that's certainly something that the BCH Latam team, both with George Donnelly and without George Donnelly, has done an excellent job of, I think, is showing, okay, look, here's the actual results, here's what we did. It's not and that's why you've been able to do multiple flip starters, because the community can see that they're getting results back, right? They're not just giving money and then who knows, right? It's getting used in the community. Can you explain to me with the onboarding sessions? So where do you find interested people to come to the onboarding sessions?
Talia, acerca de la parte del abordaje. Let's talk about a bit about the deliverables for onboarding too. Maybe for some it's exactly the same as the previous one, but I guess beyond that, for us it's a priority to listen to merchants and consumers, and we feel that we still need to educate more people to carry out more transaction, and that is wide or deliverables, and go beyond just capturing more merchants, consumers, videos. Making remittance is important. Remittance combos is the name. We want to innovate with quality technology, make massive events to ensure instant learning and exchange, in addition to other tools that facilitate consumers to forward. We haven't received any pledges on Flipstarter now, but believe me, we are confident that we can prove that our work has been of value to the community, and we will continue to do so to motivate more people to join. Talia?
Sincerely, in Venezuela, there is a lot of work to do, new consumers to educate, and we are willing to continue and to evolve our work to grow and be one of the strongest BCH community in Latin America.
Yeah. So my question is, if you're going to have a meetup, where do you find these new people, right? So según estos meetups, ¿de dónde buscándolo a las nuevas personas para introducir a BCH? No rush. Take your time. Lentamente, despacito.
Her Spanish is so good, okay?
universities, communities, and there are many areas in Venezuela that are not yet addressed. Many states, for example, at least 12 or 16 stated that we are not addressed yet. So, yes.
And what about once you've introduced them, you've done the training, how do you follow up and make sure they stay in contact with the BCH community, right?
For us, adoption is fundamental, and one tool is undoubtedly events and meetups to attract more people, yes. And we give publicize throughout conventional social networks. We recently started partnerships with universities. Yesterday, we uploaded a video of the great training in another city outside of Caracas, and we want to continue doing it. Also educating company workers too.
So with the retention part, right? See, después de introducción, cómo mantener contacto con esos nuevos BCHs.
The Bitcoin Cash agents are the ones who do the live and direct work with the new consumers in cities we are not in person. The Bitcoin Cash agents. We have 30, tenemos 30 en este momento.
Yeah.
30.
Yes.
30 people.
We have a consumer service channel, which we recently opened it to clarify the bugs and keep the community informated. Yes. For Telegram, WhatsApp Business, and social networks, conventional.
Support channels. Pero tenemos a personas tenemos personas en vivo y en directo en las ciudades donde estamos activos. No es solo en línea.
Por internet, yeah.
Tenemos personas en carne y hueso allí.
Yeah. So I guess a big part of your strategy then you're saying is having real people that they can go and talk to face to face.
Yes. We are people face to face with the consumers.
So it's not just online, because historically cryptocurrency has had that problem a lot, right? Which is people, to build up trust, it's much easier to build trust with somebody you can see and talk to directly, right? If it's somebody online, maybe it's a scam, or maybe there's some other, it's hard to build that trust and figure out what is real and what is not. But people know in person, face to face, it's much easier for them to understand, okay, this new technology, okay, this is how it works. I can see an example of how to use it and all those things, right? So I think that's something that cryptocurrencies have always struggled with. And actually, some of the work I think you guys have done, it might be some of the leading stuff in terms of in-person trainings and whatever. I certainly haven't seen other cryptocurrencies, like maybe Dash a little bit, but I haven't seen, better examples of sort of meetups and maybe some of the things that Andreas Antonopoulos has done. But a lot of it has been, very, very ad hoc in all the cryptocurrencies, not just Bitcoin Cash, I think.
Yes.
Bitcoin Cash agents, sorry.
Yes, no problem.
Bitcoin Cash agents go for every trade educating about BCH. Same, there are online channels, but the first contact is in person. It's important to know that.
Yes, in 12 cities, we have BCH agents who are in charge of giving the support and keeping new users informed that we are in the church of educating them. And that is why we travel to guarantee a good job, and learning to the BCH agents is a primordial.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so everybody who's interested in contributing to this Flipstarter can check out flipstarter.bchagents.com I'm going to contribute after this show. I'll put in some money. I was waiting for the show. I think before it would be a good time to contribute then. So I'll put in some BCH, and anybody else who's interested, or I mean, everybody already knows how Flipstarter works. But I guess if you're completely new, this is your first episode of the Bitcoin Cash podcast. Flipstarter is like Kickstarter or something run by the crypto community, where you can send in a Bitcoin Cash, and if they hit their target, then all the money goes to them and they do the project. And if they don't hit the target, then everybody keeps their money. And because it's not like Kickstarter, there's no company, there's no fees or anything. It's just peer-to-peer. It's just the donators straight to the project. So in that way, it can be more efficient than Kickstarters or whatever, which famously the Kickstarter are making a lot of money, but the donators are not only paying the Kickstarter fees, it's also a bit questionable whether or not they actually get any results out of it in that way too. But yeah, I mean, your team has a very strong, proven track record, I would say. Okay, next one, we have community comment of the week from @Naomi Brockwell, who's a very prominent Bitcoin Cash. She likes all cryptos really, but I think she has a bit of a special place in her heart for Bitcoin Cash. And she was talking on Twitter. So Roman Semenov, who is the developer of, or one of the developers, I guess, of Tornado.cash that we were talking about before, he said on Twitter, "My GitHub account was just suspended. Is writing open source code illegal now?" And Naomi Brockwell just reiterated that. Great question, GitHub. Is writing open source code illegal? So this is about this mixing service where he's written the code or some of the code for this service, but he's not in control of it. He's not running it. He's not doing anything. He's just made some computer code, right? But his GitHub account was shut down, and it seems like he is being targeted by law enforcement. So it raises these questions about freedom of speech, or because code is just files on a computer, which ultimately it's just writing. So it's like if you can be attacked by the government, or you can be chased up for creating, even if you're not involved, you're not running it, you're not processing transactions for people, you're not doing any money laundering or anything like that. You're just making software programs. If you can be sanctioned just for writing code that is freely available, it's not a bug or a virus, it's not stealing anyone's money, nothing like that. But just because the government doesn't like it, they can find and attack you. That is a big problem for human rights and for people having freedom of speech, and the authoritarian control just continuing to lock down onto people. So it's certainly a worrying trend, and I'm not sure, this is unprecedented kind of stuff. It seems that GitHub, who are the biggest code hoster, would be starting to take this kind of action. Yeah, I don't know, Jet, did you have a thought on this? I don't know if he was the one that got arrested. I know he had the one that got his there was maybe another one. Let me just check. Somebody got arrested anyway for being involved in this.
Wow.
Alleged in Amsterdam. Here we go. So I don't think this was him. A 29-year-old man. I feel like, okay, it doesn't really say here, but I think that might be someone else. Not this guy, Roman Semenov. It might be within their rights to refuse your service, take down your code, and it's not like they're the one and only place where you can do it. You can host the code somewhere else, and ultimately in this case, the code is on the blockchain, so it's whatever anyone thinks, they would have to take down the whole Ethereum chain to actually switch it off, right? So there's that aspect to it, but there is certainly an element that, especially in America, because like you're saying with Microsoft being involved, that is the sort of protection of free speech. Well, that in the same way that protects kind of like music, for instance, and political activism, well, open source code is kind of no different in that way. If they're being discriminated against, essentially, for using their, human rights, well, it's certainly a gray area at the very least. I don't think it's as simple as they're a private business, they don't want to host your code, they can just not host it. Especially since it seems like this code has been there for a long time. It's not like this is what seems to have changed is government pressure rather than any independent action by GitHub or any change of heart by them. Talia, did you have a thought about this?
Are desperate measures to scare people? You cannot sanction every person in the world for writing or using cryptocurrencies. For example, is the government is scared the people.
As I said before, core cryptocurrencies were created for privacy and that must be made.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure it is certainly starting to scare the government now that it is getting quite entrenched in society. And it seems this is the first attack. And I agree with you, Talia. It's what's it called? It's called chilling. It's called chilling in English. So basically they're trying to, if they attack one person really hard, then they try and make an example out of them. They say, if you do the same, this is what's going to happen to you. They don't have to do every individual person, but if they can have a couple of examples, famous examples, like Ross Ulbricht, for example, is another classic case of this, where he was targeted so heavily and so beyond the bounds of what is at all reasonable or justified, or even legal, perhaps. And it was just so that future people would be discouraged from taking, similar use of their own liberties in a, free and peaceful way. So it's, shocking to see, I would say.
You burn a witch so that other side hide. So
exactly,
like
burn the witches. That's right. It's what's that called? It's not a persecution or a witch hunt. There's a specific word for it, but
Inquisitor.
Yes, yes, it's an inquisition. Exactly.
Inquisition. Yeah.
It's an inquisition.
Just, I think to clarify my comment, I'm not saying like, this should happen. I certainly don't support it, but I do find it kind of funny and interesting that like people, especially involved in cryptocurrency, expected anything else. What happened to the don't trust, verify? Like, we don't want to rely on third parties, but we're relying on third parties to host the code that cuts out those third parties. Like, there's a conflict of interest, right? Of course, they're gonna at some point be like, okay, let's get this out of here.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right that it is an arms race in that sense. I don't think, particularly someone like Naomi Brockwell or Roman Semenov, I don't think either of them were like, oh, we're caught. What a surprise. The government is getting it. I don't think they were caught off guard, in as much as I think it's kind of the case that, like I was saying before, the government and all this stuff is so hypocritical, and it's not like anybody's expecting better, but when it happens, it's important to make noise about it, because it adds to our case, basically. It's hopefully convincing, people who are on the borderline, who are like, oh, I'm not sure about this. If you can show them clear, flagrant abuse of power and, oppression and trying to shut people down, that generates a reaction, right? Because there's kind of like a segment of people that are already in support of this and a segment of people that are not. But what matters is the middle ground, who could kind of be persuaded either way. And if they can see examples like this, that's strong evidence that maybe the pro crypto side needs their support, essentially. That's my thought on that. Okay, next one we have is meme of the week. So this is kind of on this same similar example. So it's can't get over this one from at Vitruvian Kulak, who posted a picture of where the IRS audits more. It's a graph of the United States, and there's areas shaded in heavier if there's more IRS tax audits in that area. And then percent of population living in poverty is a second graph next to it, which shows, where are the poorest areas in America. And just by looking at the two pictures side by side, you can pretty sort of clearly see a pattern that the IRS auditing is happening more in the places that are poor. So the people who can least afford it, who can least afford to deal with being harassed about their taxes, and the people who the burden falls on heaviest. And it sort of flies in the face of apparently the US are getting more and more IRS agents. It was like 87,000 new IRS agents were being added into the agency or whatever. And also with increased powers, including weaponry, absolutely, nuts. From what I could tell, they were getting like police or military gear for their tax collection specialists. And then on top of that, the story, of course, the cover story is, oh, we're just trying to tax the rich more. But this kind of graph just shows that that's not what happens. It just simply isn't. So I guess it's not really a funny meme of the week. This might be one of the most serious memes of the week we've ever had. But it's certainly like a picture tells 1,000 words when you look at this kind of graph. So yeah, I don't know. And especially the northeastern corner of the US, not really getting much attention at all. And as far as I'm aware, that's where a lot of the sort of rich, politically connected people are to begin with anyway. So yeah, my American geography probably let me down this one. But yeah, certainly not very funny. But it's kind of the case that more people in more poor, desperate situations are more likely to have government interfering with them, not less. I don't know. Do you agree with that, Jose and Talia? Does that make sense? Is it the same in Venezuela? The poor people are the most tracked by the government?
Yes, undoubtedly, poverty continues to increase. Yes, I believe that our job as service providers, as part of the BCH community, is to look for tools that allow people to learn about the new alternatives and thus be able to continue building paths to lower the poverty rate.
And what do you think about this correlation, right? ¿Piensas que a las gentes más pobres están en más control del gobierno también?
Obviously.
Obviously. There you go. It's not even a question. Everyone knows it.
Many governments believe that the poor, they can keep their people, they more can control them because the people have hungry, fear, cold. So you can control on a person that is in a poverty situation, for example. So the same thing happened here. So I think that is not a country, is the governments in general control the people that way. So yes,
exactly. It's the same system everywhere.
Poverty control.
Yes,
that's it.
That's it. Give poverty, take control. It's two halves of the same coin,
Yeah.
Yes.
The country condition is obviously a method of control. That's why, as service providers, we want to create spaces to open people's minds that they can build their financial prosperity with alternatives like Bitcoin Cash. The main premise of this poor population is that they believe they are incapable. ¿Sí? Incapaz. ¿Cómo se dice incapaz?
Yeah,
Son incapaces.
Incapable, yeah.
Yes. And the third is that they are not. BCH is for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah, we gotta create a resistance, a rising groundswell of the people. That's the only solution. I think it's up to us to get it done. Really.
A person in prosperity is not depend on nobody.
Exactly. Once you're self-sufficient, you think more freely. It's only when you're poor that you're more responsive to control, because you need things and you're in desperation. Exactly. Okay, all right. So then we have our last segment, really. So message to the community. So each of you can have a chance to explain what you think it can be about your Flipstarter, or it can be about the world in general, or it can be about Bitcoin Cash, or it can be about I don't know, government or the situation in Venezuela. What do you think people need to hear? What does everybody in the Bitcoin Cash community need to be thinking about?
My message to the community is undoubtedly of gratitude. Even though they did not know me more closely a few months ago, they trusted us, and without a doubt, we have demonstrated our work with real facts, and without a doubt that we want to continue being part of the community, and above all to continue contributing from our country, which told that work increase the transactions in BCH and that the community grows. We want you to support us in our new era. We know it's not the best moment of the market, but we are creating wonderful ideas to innovate in our operations, and thus be able to reach many more people who still do know about Bitcoin Cash. We are ready to answer questions and demonstrate our work. Here you have 35 BCH agents for now in Venezuela that are willing to continue to contribute. We are BCH agents.
Yes, we can only thanks to the community for their support of the past 6 months, and invite them to review our results of the 6 months. I'm new Flipstarter. We are BCH agents.
Okay. Very good, very good. I love it. We are BCH agents. Perfect. It's a bit of a rallying cry. It's like a war chant or something. You know, get fired up.
Yeah. We are BCH agents. yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, you need war paint. Yeah, green war paint. That's right. That'll be the next thing. The armies of BCH. The warriors. Exactly. I've made lots of videos and jokes in the past before. Yeah, I think at some point, it's a very vague idea, but I think it would be awesome if we made like shields, but they were the Bitcoin Cash like as a shield.
Yeah.
You know, that would be like protect yourself with Bitcoin Cash. You know. I think that would be pretty cool. But you would have to do a good job. You don't want to make a crappy one. It would have to be like a cool one. So that could maybe be something we can do in the future at some point. I don't know. Right. Well, that will do it then for the show. Thank you everybody for listening in. You can donate to the show at the link as well. Definitely consider donating to the Flipstarter. It's one of the most detailed. They've got everything all written there. It's not like give us some money and just like 2-line description. It's really, really detailed, a full breakdown of what they're doing and everything. So please check that out at flipstarter.bchagents.com. Also check out bitcoincashpodcast.com. I've got the FAQs and all the other episodes of the show, and everything is all there. Thank you to the donators and also the Podcash streamers. Shout out to F Shinetop for making that. Shout out to Ricky my one and only Patreon. And do you have any other shout outs to the community, or where can people find you for more information about BCH agents and BCH Latam?
Jeremy, we want to thank you for supporting us in our first independent flipstarter, for allowing us to be in one of your chapters, BCH podcast, for putting up with the fact that we are not so good at English.
You're fantastic.
No, very courageous. Very
You
courageous.
are so many patient. We are like Sofia Vergara.
And for your human quality, we are immensely grateful for to you, and thank you too.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Much love. And we'll put links in the description for all the Flipstarter and where to find your team and everything like that as well too. All right. Well, Jet, did you have anyone you wanted to shout out this week, or?
I guess I just want to reiterate what you've been saying. Like, and I was gonna kind of wait until after the show to mention this, but like, and you guys do so much already, but be more public facing, have more like public conversations. You're both incredibly charismatic and personable, and I think some of like the way that you presented everything, it's some of the most professional kind of formatting that we've had on the show. And I like Jeremy said, you know, those in-person kind of things do so much for people's trust, but I think even just seeing your faces and the kind of passion that you guys have behind doing what you're doing is very important, and I think that comes across even in the Zoom call. So fantastic. Like I am very impressed, and I look forward to seeing what else you guys can do.
All right. Excellent. Well, that will do it for the show this week. Thank you, everyone. Muchas gracias. And until next time.
Gracias. Nos vemos.
Gracias.
The greatest story the world has ever known. The rise and rise of Bitcoin. 2022.
A single chance for the world, a single moment in time. Bankers captures all, our cryptocurrency flies. Gets to decide, Phoenix fly from the flame. Bitcoin BCH, forever changing the game.
An underdog story everyone trying to deny. Bitcoin revolution, crypto trade on the rise. Then they stole our brand name and tried to push us aside, cause they said it was over, that we'd never survive. Maybe there was a world that was the end of the ride, but this kind of hero's journey is refusing to die. So we picked up the shovels and headed back to the mine. Started over from scratch, finding fresh dynamite. Flipping over the board, drew up fresh battle lines. Set the difficulty right and forked a couple more times. Budgets got slashed with prices on the decline, while the faithless gave up, but the project survived. An unstoppable will kept the blockchain alive, and community grit simply arrested the slide. Suffered plenty of hate from doubters on the sidelines. Drew on passionate drive where strength comes from inside. So this is your notice, written down in these rhymes. You can stick with your banks, or you can move with the times. Join us now or later on, cause I really don't mind. If you can't see it happening, must be myopically blind. Your fake money melts, that's infinite supply. So we're going to rule, that's cryptographically signed. Fuck your institution banks, we'll fund it all on our dime. It's not a matter of price, it's just a matter of price.